Captain's Log number 777. Now, today I decided I was going to watch an old movie, because why not? I like old movies, so I decided to watch an old movie. Not a big deal, so let's talk about it.
Lost in space, an alien race, trapped in orbit with no escape, watching films from Earth's display, passing time from day to day. Stuck in orbit, what can I do? A movie marathon will have to do. From drama to horror and comedy too, an alien cinema will break through.
So today I decided I was going to watch Shaolin vs. Vampire. And this is an older movie. This movie came out in 1980, so it's a little bit older than what I normally talk about, which are new releases. But I feel like it's important to talk about the movies that I watch. And I watch a lot of old movies, so let's talk about Shaolin vs. Vampire. Now this movie has an alternate title, and it's called The Baby Vampire versus the Invincible Shaolin Kung Fu Devil Gang. It's kind of a mouthful, so let's just stick to this title here, which is Shaolin versus the Vampire. So this movie stars Gordon Liu, and if you watch a lot of Shaolin Kung Fu movies, especially from the Shaw Brothers era, then you know Gordon Liu, and you know he's amazing. And this movie is also directed by Gordon Liu. So, there's high expectations. It's going to be extra amazing. Now, let's talk about, what is this movie? What's it about? And I will tell you right now. Basically, it's about a little vampire. This is like a little child vampire who got separated from his class of vampires who were visiting the land of the living on a field trip. And he got separated from them. And so he decided he was going to befriend a little girl named Bee. And Bee, her father happens to be a stuntman in the film industry. So anyways, Bee and this little vampire become fast friends, and it's a lot of fun until her mother dies in a fire. This fire was created by an evil Shaolin priest who was trying to kill the vampire. He lit a house on fire, and the mother seemed to be in the house, and she died. Yeah, so, very sad. The father, who is played by Gordon Liu, he becomes extremely depressed until a student comes from Japan. So there's a student named Yoki, and she's a friend of a friend, and she decided to come to Hong Kong to study Kung Fu. And the little vampire and Bee, they see the chemistry between these two, and they're like, oh yeah, we have to get these two together, for sure. And so they plot to try to get them both together. Now it seems like the family's all back together again, until the evil Shaolin priest decides to come and try to kill the baby vampire. And it's up to Gordon Liu to go and kung fu fight his way into saving this baby vampire and saving his family. Now this movie is extremely fun, and it's extremely lighthearted. This is not a serious movie at all. Yeah. If I were to describe this movie in one word, I think it would be adorable. This is probably the cutest movie with kung fu and vampires that you'll ever see. Now, of course, there are some issues with this movie, and I think the biggest problem with this movie is probably the quality of the film. This is obviously a very low-budget production, and it seems like this whole movie was shot on video. And so what I mean by that is that this movie seems like it was shot on video cassette, like a VHS camera, like straight to VHS. So the film quality is not great. The picture is kind of fuzzy, but I don't think that really detracts from the quality of the story. I feel like the story is really good, and the performances are excellent. And so it kind of makes up for the low picture quality. One of the other issues with this movie is with the editing. The editing of this movie is kind of jarring at some points. Like, for instance, there was a scene where Gordon Liu, he's fighting these two vampires, and it's like very actiony. It's really cool. And then suddenly it cuts to a wedding scene. Now Gordon Liu is marrying the Japanese girl. And it's like, wait, what's going on? And then Bee wakes up. Turns out she was having a dream the whole time. It turns out that Gordon Liu lost the fight, and it's all kind of confusing. It feels like a big chunk of this movie was suddenly missing. Also, the quality of the kung fu and the way it was filmed is not exactly what you would expect from a Gordon Liu film. Because, I mean, Gordon Liu, he is a kung fu legend. And I love his movies, especially his 36 Chamber of Shaolin movies. And all of the other ones, the Lotus Clan movies and stuff like that. Like, he's a legend in this field. I was kind of disappointed that his kung fu wasn't showcased properly in this film. And I don't know if this is his first time directing. I don't know how many directing credits he has. This is the first time I've seen him direct a movie. But I know that other directors are able to showcase their own action. Like Jackie Chan, he directs many of his movies, and his movies are fantastic. Same thing with Sammo Hung. He directs a lot of his movies as well, and his kung fu is on point. But whatever it was, it doesn't really matter because I still thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend it. I feel like this is a more like family film. I would say this is probably a children's movie. Like as far as like vampire movies goes, this is like one of the few vampire movies I would recommend for children to watch. I feel like they would actually really enjoy it more than anybody else. But do I recommend Shaolin vs. Vampire? 100% yes. Go ahead and watch it. It's a real feel-good movie. And it's a lot of fun, and I think that anybody can enjoy this movie. And with that, I guess it's Captain's Log out.